Hello and welcome once again to the Gamers HQ. We all know Nintendo, right? Best company ever in my opinion. They're pretty much inventors of gaming, but like every company, they have to have at least one dud, and that dud is the Virtual Boy. After the success of the Game & Watch and the Game Boy, Nintendo wanted to make a third portable handheld. They were pretty ambitious too. They wanted to make 3D graphics in their system. Yep, that's right, the 3DS isn't the first Nintendo system to be 3D. And the Virtual Boy was born! To play the Virtual Boy, you have to look through a strange binocular-like feature that the Virtual Boy has. So, 3D gaming, huh? I mean, we already have 3D movies, so there's no way this could fail, right? Wrong! Yeah, that's right. The Virtual Boy failed. It had a very high price tag, and apparently you got headaches and eye strain from looking at it too long. Nintendo actually noticed this and put in an automatic brake feature that happened every 30 minutes that you could turn on. The system was such a failure that Gunpei Yokoi, the creator of the D-pad and Metroid, had to resign from Nintendo. So, the Virtual Boy failed. But of course, when it all comes down to it, don't the games matter, not the system? Well, we're taking a look at that today. And I won't know whether the 3D effects are good or not, because I'm going to be using an emulator. Oh, come on, you can't expect me to get an entire console just for one video. And besides, they're really expensive. So, first up is Virtual Boy Wario Land, considered to be the best game on Virtual Boy. So, naturally I wanted to play it first. And, well, I have to say, it is very good. Even if you haven't played a Wario game before, you'll still get to grips with the gameplay pretty quickly. As far as platform heroes go, Wario is pretty versatile. He can, of course, jump, as well as jump on enemies' heads, and he can also throw them around. When in super form, think the mushroom from Super Mario Bros., Wario can do a sort of thrusting attack which is very effective on enemies. There are also many power-ups, the first of which is Ball Wario, who can do a ground pound to stun enemies as well as the thrusting attack. There's also Dragon Wario, who can spit out fire to kill or stun enemies, which is very useful. There's also Eagle Wario that lets Wario fly around, and I think flying is a lot easier in this than it is in, say, Super Mario Bros. 3 or Super Mario World with the Cape and Raccoon power-ups. You can even combine all three of them to get a power-up that lets you use all the powers at once, and that's really good. Goes without saying, really. The story's about as simple as it gets. The bad guys have treasure, so Wario's gotta go and get it. Not very original, I guess, but hey, it's Wario. Wario loves treasure, and treasure loves Wario. I guess. The goal of each level is to find the key within the level, and then get it to the elevator. And that elevator is the bane of my existence. You see, you're supposed to press up on the control pad to get to the next level, but the game doesn't tell you. I just walked around there for ages, trying to work out what the heck I was supposed to be doing. Also, finding the key can seriously take you out of your way. There is no feeling worse than getting to the end of the level and realizing you don't have the key. Then having to find the key, then go back to the exit again. Thankfully though, I think the game does make up for it with some inventive level design. Probably the best example are these strange tiles that take Wario to the foreground and background of the level, and I imagine that this would look really good with the 3D capabilities of the Virtual Boy. In fact, the game as a whole really tries hard to use 3D, and, well, I guess it's a shame that I'm using an emulator, because I imagine this would look really good. In this game, coins are used to play betting games, which you can play to get more coins or get hearts, which if you get 100 of them, you get an extra life. It's not like you need lives all that much anyway. After all, when you die, you have to do the entire level again, and when you get a game over, you just lose some of your coins in total, and, well, that's pretty much it. Otherwise, it's exactly the same as just dying, really. You just start the level again. It annoys me that there aren't any checkpoints in the levels, but hey, everyone likes a challenge, don't they? Anyway, time to wrap this up. Wario Land on the Virtual Boy is really good. It has great level design, fun to use power-ups, and great gameplay in general. And the music's pretty good too, very catchy. I would definitely recommend it, especially if you have a Virtual Boy and don't have this. Next up, Mario Clash. Every Nintendo system has to have a main Mario game, and here's the main Mario game, people. Before I go into anything else, let me just say I'm not really sure what the storyline's all about. The bad guys put something atop a tower called Clash Tower, and Mario goes in for it. Let me just say right now, how did Mario even see the people putting that, whatever it was, on top of Clash Tower? I mean, it was really high. He couldn't have seen from down there. Well, that's all the story we're getting here, so let's go into the gameplay. Well, obviously, as you can see, Mario Clash isn't quite your typical Mario game. It's more of a one-screen arcade-style sort of platformer. The idea is to use the Koopa Troopers on each level to get rid of all of the enemies. And yeah, that's pretty much it, really. I hear people call it a remake of the original Mario Bros. Arcade game, but honestly, I'm finding it hard to see any resemblance. Sure, you have to get rid of every enemy on the screen, but that's pretty much it, really. And to be perfectly honest with you, this really got uninteresting fast. I mean, sure, it does try to be inventive after a few levels, adding different types of enemies and whatnot, but just the game as a whole just started to get boring after a while. It doesn't help that the game is actually more of a high score chaser sort of game, and when you die, you have to do every single level all over again. And considering the fact that there are 40 levels in this game, I really don't think you'll have the patience for this. Well, I didn't. Maybe that's just me, I'm not really sort of a high score type of person. I can't help but feel that this was simply made just to show off the 3D capabilities of the Virtual Boy. And, well, I guess that's honourable enough. After all, it would look pretty good considering that one part of the level is in the background and another part is in the foreground. Also, throwing shells into each part must look pretty good, but I guess I won't know. Still, even if it did look good, the gameplay just isn't all that interesting to me. But if you're the sort of person that goes chasing after high scores, you'll probably find a lot to enjoy here. Otherwise, I'd probably recommend going to other games. And we'll see those other games now. You certainly can't blame Tetris for wanting a piece of action on this thing, and guess what? It wants to go 3D! I don't think anyone could play this without thinking, what are those things right there? Are they characters? They made characters of the Tetris blocks? What kind of idea is that? They just look so stupid. Ugh. Sadly, that's not the only problem I have with this game. I mean, it seems like a good idea to have Tetris in 3D on paper, but when it comes to actually playing it, it just doesn't work. I mean, could you even look at this and say, hey, that's Tetris? Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just, Even working out how to actually place the blocks took me forever to work out. It was just a really strange button I had to press. In 2D Tetris, if you wanted blocks to disappear, all you'd have to do is make one line. In this, you have to make an entire huge square that takes up the entire screen. And that just doesn't feel right to me. There are just so many blocks to put down. There are, however, two other game modes. The first of which is Puzzle, where you have to match the blocks on screen with your own. And I suck at it, and I don't really care about it either. There's also Center Fill. If you touch the center with a block, then that block and any surrounding blocks will be taken away and made into points. If forced into a corner, I probably would choose this one as my favourite, but considering that I didn't really have that much fun with this game anyway, that's not really saying a lot. All I can say is, most Tetris games are fun, addictive, and worth playing. This is not one of those Tetris games. Stay well away, guys. It's time to review what has to be the most underrated game on the Virtual Boy, Jak Brothers. Let's quickly go through the story. The story goes that 3 fairies, yeah, these guys don't really look much like fairies, but hey, let's just go with it. Anyway, these fairies can enter the human world on Halloween. However, depending on which one you choose, the main character forgets about the time and realizes they only have an hour to get back to their world, or else they'll lose their powers and disappear. However, a pixie named Pixie tells Jack he needs to go home and agrees to help him get back. As I said before, Jack Bros has 3 characters you can play as. First of all, there's Jack Frost, who shoots things with ice. There's Jack-O-Lantern, who shoots things with fire. And Jack Skeleton, who can kill things with his knife, but he has to be really close to do it. To clear a level in Jack Bros, you need to find all the keys on each floor of the dungeon, then defeat the boss at the bottom of the dungeon. What makes this game difficult is the time limit. You see, Jack does not actually have a life bar in this. Instead, his health is measured by time. If he takes damage, he will lose even more time than what is currently counting down. And if time runs out, guess what? You die and you have to do the entire level all over again. Thankfully, there are power-ups that let you get extra time on your hands. There's also the invincibility power-up, which makes Jack go really fast and, of course, invincible. If there's one thing I really hate about this game, it's that Pixie character. Holy crap. If you thought that Navi from Ocarina of Time was annoying, you will not be able to stand this fairy. She gives you hints on every floor. Every time a new enemy is introduced, she has to stop and tell you. Sorry, but I don't think I have to know about every single enemy in this game in detail, thank you. The other problem I have is the time limit. I understand what it was used for, and it is inventive, but if you get down to the boss floor with barely any time left, you are screwed. There are no time power-ups or anything, and you have to do it all over again. And some levels can have an absurd amount of flaws. All in all though, Jack Bros is definitely for someone looking for something a bit different, and it is very good. In fact, I'd like to see someone use the idea again someday. It also is quite challenging. I would definitely recommend you play it. So, from what we've seen, is the Virtual Boy a bad console? Maybe. But are the games bad? Well, from what I've seen, no, they're not. I mean, sure, they could have made, like, way more, but I guess that's just because it performed so badly. It's a shame though, this could have been a lot more. But at least we have the 3DS now, so at least we have the true phenomenon of 3D gaming in our hands. So, that's the review. I know that 4 games might not seem like much, but the truth is, there aren't really that many games on the Virtual Boy. But if you would like me to review some more Virtual Boy games, please tell me, I'd be happy to do a part 2. But for now though, this is the Gamers HQ signing out. See you next time.